Hey, this is Grav. I'm just going to give you a quick little tutorial on how to do the couple new innovations I had for getting 101 way easier than we used to be able to. The first, obviously, is the cinema timing to make the drone not back you on average pace runs. So say like you want a 101, you're going to be getting at the drone hallway at like 101.9, 0.8, 0.7 pace a lot more often than you're going to be 0.6, 0.5, 0.4. And so you want your drone to not shoot you on the 101 paces that are easiest to get and most common to get. So to do this, you're going to want to cut the cinema about a few tenths before the text would show up. And so you'll see, I'm going to show you my 101 here. I open this, the cinema starts, and like the cinema starts brightening. You see it go from dark to full bright. I'll frame advance it here. And as soon as it goes to full bright, you're going to want to like hesitate in your mind, like hesitate like 0.2 or 0.3. And then right after that, like 0.2 seconds later, you hit A or whatever you use to skip the cinema. And if you do it right, you should not see the text. If you see the text, it's too late every time. Like doing it on the text is like the same as cutting it instantly. It's like a 2-second difference. So if you want to verify you're doing this right, time or record your run locally and use like virtual dub like I am or some video editing program to cut the first video or cut the first cinema like right when it starts. Like you see how there's a little blotch of color right there. You can see the first frame you see color, cut it there and then count forward ahead frame advance wise, and then you see here right at like 1.4 to 1.5 I would say is like the sweet spot for cutting for the 101 to 103 pace to 105, you know, all the odd pace times you're gonna want to cut here. And for even pace, this may even be more helpful than the odd pace, because the drone is like really troll on the evens. You're almost always getting backed. So for even paced runs, just as a side note, you're gonna want to cut this a second earlier. So, or later, but it's kind of harder to do. So if you want to do it a second earlier, you're going to want to cut it at 0.4 to 0.5. So that ends up being like just before it brightens. So see how it's like not quite bright. It's like almost done brightening. It finishes at like 1 second. So it's like 0.4 to 0.5 before it stops brightening. And obviously this is a hard thing to do consistently, so you're just gonna have to like feel it and then use the feedback from your video editing to see if you're doing it at the right amount. And you also get feedback from your runs, like if you know that you have a 101.9 pace run with experience with playing this level, you'll know if the drone does not back you that you did it right, and if it's backing you the same way it normally does, then you probably need to cut it earlier. Obviously, if it's backing you in the other way, you need to cut it later. And you can tell by looking at the drone like when it backs you. If it backs you really early or really late in the hallway, you can adjust your cinema based off that. Most people are going to be cutting it too late, probably. I don't know. I guess you'll have to figure out yourself. I was usually too late. So just kind of play with it and get a feel for it, and it shouldn't be too bad after a while. So again, just as a recap, we have cutting the video at the very beginning of the first cinema, and then from there at 0.5 is for even times, for 102, 104, for 100 if anyone goes for that. Here's the 0.5, then the 1.5 for 101, which will be the most sought after use. I did it about 0.1 early, and then 2.5 I guess would be another option, but you can't see it on my videos since I don't play out the full cinema, so you'll have to look at it if you want to try different timing. But anyway, the consequence of this is obviously the guards are going to be in different spots because you're doing the cinema at a different length, so none of this changes. Like, this is all pretty standard. And if you want to know how to do this level in general, watch WODAHS' tutorial. He has a much better in-depth, just room-to-room explanation of what to do. But for me, I'm just going to kind of brisk over it. Nothing too crazy here. I will say, With the box boost now a thing, you do not need 2-0 starts. Obviously, if you get 2-0 start and you get a box boost, you have a free 3-0 run. A 3-0 run with no drone back is a 101.9 every single time if you move correctly. So I would recommend still going for 2 boost starts if your movement is clean. If it's not clean, you might want to kind of practice by playing out more runs. And you do that by playing out 1 boost starts. And even 0 boost starts you can play out for practice too. So anyway, yeah, you're gonna get 2 boosts here sometimes. It's obviously nice. I get 2 boosts. And the next note here, you're gonna want to play with no auto aim for the box boost. And it doesn't really hurt anything in this level. Like, it doesn't help you that much to have auto aim. So I guess the first consequence is this guy becomes slightly harder to kill. And you want to try to kill him because his AR is useful for you for the box boost. If you do not kill him, it's not the end of the world. Just keep going. And you'll see here, I guess a quick note with the spiral. It's kind of, I have no idea how much faster it is to like cut the spiral fast. It's still like unknown. But I would say it's worth it to try to cut it close. I pull out the mines here just to like make me able to see the corners a little better, but it's a myth that it would save time with lag or something. Just don't worry about it probably. Anyway, if you missed the first AR guard, there is the second one up here. And the consequence of the timing of the cinema now for odd paced runs is now this guy will always be right here. It happened to be in the old cinema timing when you instantly cut it. The guard would be here only on bad runs, but now you can no longer use this guy as a gauge of whether your run is good or bad. He's always going to be on the bottom part of this ramp, or like the very beginning of the downslope. But because he's in a consistent spot, you have a good chance to kill him for his AR if you miss the other one. So pop him in the head, get his AR if you don't have one already, and pull it out as soon as you get it. This is important here. You're going to want to make really tight turn after this first box here in front of you, and then just blap your AR right there. It's really easy to kill with AR. It's only a single burst. If you do not have an AR, it is still possible to ZMG box boost. I would recommend watching Carl's run. He has a very clean looking ZMG box boost. It's not that hard, but it's definitely harder. Like, you don't get it every time if you're not focusing. So I would recommend the AR for sure. Now, there is another interesting thing I discovered that I'm sure some of the more experienced Caverns players are aware of, is in that there's a guard that can dupe himself if you do something weird here. So I don't know what causes it really, but when I first went for a box boost, I would get through here, and then this guard would be duped. There'd be 2 of them, and that makes the run kind of troll because sometimes it'll be harder to get through here. I do not know what causes it. I think it's a look angle or a line thing. Someone who's more knowledgeable may know how to prevent this, but the way I was able to prevent it is just like moving really, really well, and like you want to box boost and kind of turn left into the boost. See how I turn left right here? This is important too, because like you see this wall here. If you hit this and follow your line, you're gonna like pop right into the side of this. So you're gonna want to like hit this box and then jam yourself left a little bit, and then once you kind of clear the box, stop turning left, and you'll like squeak right past the corner of this thing here. And then as soon as you pass this, you're gonna want to do a hard turn so that you kind of come right up on the right side of this door. And I think if you do this suboptimally, I think it's a much higher chance of the dupe guard. But just as you learn it, if you can't prevent the dupe guard, just keep the AR out, or you can pull out the ZMG, whatever you want. I'd prefer the AR for here, and you just shoot it another time. So like expect the guard to be here, the extra one, and you just shoot him with the AR, and you'll get through most times. You can try the ZMG too, but it's slightly less easy to kill whatever's in your way. But I mean, even when I had dupe guards, it still didn't troll me that much. It was like, 5% of runs, 10% of runs. So even with that, it's way worth it to go for the free boost. Like, it's a free boost. It's a clean boost. It actually saves more than 0.3 because your line is a bit better too. Like, you can kind of, it might be like 0.32 or 0.33. Anyway, so that's the box boost. It's free time. I would suggest going for it. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Again, for the nuances, check out Woda's tutorial. This guy, auto aim, it's obviously harder to kill, but I mean, these guys aren't that important to kill. It's just like maybe less lag. I'm not quite sure how much it would save, but it's not that important. And so here we have the drone hallway. And the consequence of my cinema timing here, you'll see that I cleared the drone. No back. I'm completely underneath it now, and it did not bag me. Now it just so happens I got a boost, and it just made the 101 like guaranteed. Because if I did not get the forward boost here, and then I choke this warp, then I get 102. So thankfully I got lucky, and I saved 0.3 with the boost and lost 0.3 with the warp, or however much it was. But yeah, you'll know, and you clear this. I think it's like this. If you get past this, you're like home free or something. But that's what it looks like when you have the right timing. And you see, like, compare my runs to, like, you know, all the other ones. It's not any different, really. So, all the other 101s, my run, I mean, it's a clean run, but it's not, like, insane. So, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go through this one more time just to kind of recap. So, yeah, the cinema timing right before the, or right after the brightness. This part's all normal. All good. Got trolled there with the rolling guard, but still made it through. And yeah, just, I can't think of much else to say. Yeah, the myth I had with this was like that the mine would create less lag like during this section, and I did some tests and I feel like it's completely a bogus thing. But it could be, you never know. So I mean, if you're a superstitious guy, you might try pulling out the mines here. And depending on whether you have the AR or not, it's going to change up your weapon switch cycles, so it's kind of troll. But anyway, yeah, here's the box boost again. Just turn left into the boost. Again, very, very tight turns after that, and you should get no dupe. Nah, again, not positive that's all it takes. So fiddle with it until you kind of get what you need to do to prevent the dupe. And if you get dupe, it's still an easy 101 journey. It's not going to hurt you too much. That's pretty much all I can say about it. I can't think of much else, so I'll leave it at that. Again, watch Woda's tutorial if you do not know this level. If you do know the level, you'll have an easy 10-hour grind probably, I'd expect. If you're competent and you have a decent OCB, it's not a crazy time OCB-wise, you know. It's like a tier 6 in my opinion, so happy grinding. Hope it's faster for you than it was for me even, so good luck. Thanks.